Hello, and welcome to the Open Wide the Doors podcast here at St. John Paul II Parish Family. Happy Catholic Schools Week. I'm your host for today, Erin Wright, and we're going to be talking about how we're celebrating Catholic Schools Week and the domestic church and the gift of Catholic education, which is being celebrated here with Catholic Schools Week at Bishop Leibold School. But the heart of Catholic life doesn't begin or end at school, it starts at home. Today's episode, we'll talk about how families live their Catholic family life at Faith Daily and how our PTO, Parent Teacher Organization, helps strengthen that connection between home, school, and parish. I'm joined today by Jenny Granite, President of the PTO and the Parent Engagement Coordinator here at Bishop Leibold School. Welcome, Jenny. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to talk about one of my favorite things, which is Catholic Schools Week and our awesome school community that we have.
Awesome. So we'll start off with something fun, little light question. Is there a Catholic tradition you've carried from your own childhood into your family today?
One of the biggest traditions that stands out to me from growing up, although it may seem small and mundane, is our family dinners and starting our family dinners with prayer. I think that sharing meals and conversations together at the end of the day is so important. And I feel really grateful for the way that my family prioritized that. And we always started with a prayer. My brothers and I usually took turns leading the prayer. My dad usually let us pick our own prayer. So sometimes we would really mix it up and then start singing the Johnny Appleseed prayer, a little clapping. I'm sure you loved that. And as we got older and we were in high school and in different classes, we started to learn prayers in different languages. So we also would say grace in different languages, which was fun. And I carry that into our family now with my daughter, Maddie, who's in second grade here at Bishop Leibold. And when we sit down for dinner, whether it's Maddie or other kids that are visiting our house for dinner, we always ask them if they'd like to lead us in prayer. Usually they take up the opportunity, like last night. Maddie, when I asked her if she'd like to lead prayer, she lifted her hands up and said, "I'm asking God to bring me a different dinner." And we all laughed, and I kind of side-eyed her. We were serving her pasta with butter. So I'm not really sure what else she was looking for, but it was kind of a fun way to just approach the meal. And, after the little laugh, we moved forward with saying grace. And I think it's such an approachable way for kids to start building that foundation for faith and devotion. And it just goes back to our faith, and the church starts at home, and really utilizing just such simple prayers that even I look back at now 30 years later of how I grew up. And I always tell Maddie, a family that prays together stays together. And that's why we always say grace before our meals. Sometimes kids can be challenging and they might be like, "I'm not saying prayer tonight." And I say, "Well, that's okay." And then I take the opportunity to lead prayer. Usually by the end of the sign of the cross, she jumps in and is like, "All right, well, I don't want to miss out on this opportunity." You can see how much she enjoys praying together as a family before dinners.
That's awesome. I really love the different ways to incorporate prayer into your meals, the different languages. That's something that I've never heard of, but that's pretty cool. I think that's a really neat tradition.
Yeah, I was trying to quiz myself last night if I could remember. I took French in high school, so I would say it in French, and my older brother took German, and he would say prayers in German. And I think I could get through the sign of the cross, but then I was like, I'm not going to embarrass myself with my really bad 20-year-old French prayer. I'll 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 spare everybody from my bad French, but it was fun. It was a great way to practice the language, and it was kind of a different way to evolve the faith and like kind of bring it full circle. So it's a fun memory.
That's awesome. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into talking about the domestic church. So the church often uses the phrase domestic church. For listeners who may not know, what does that mean? What is the importance of the domestic church?
When I think of the domestic church, I think it comes back to the family and your house and how our faith starts at home and how parents should be leading words and examples because they truly are the first introduction to faith and the first people that can encourage their kids and your family to be involved in the faith. Kind of like how the tradition of praying before dinner every night with family That's just a really small part of the domestic church or the domestic family, that you can incorporate those little moments that build upon each other. And when you have your immediate family doing these types of things, you build into the bigger church community.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The importance of praying at home and with your family is huge on our parish community. If we didn't have that prayer at home, then how do we build that foundation and that willingness to pray in the community? It's really neat and really important to know and understand the domestic church and just learning about it. There's a lot of things in the catechism about the domestic church that I think are really interesting.
Yeah, so I think even for families that send their kids to Bishop Leibold or they send them to the religious education programs, once a week, I think that we can never underestimate how crucial it is for nurturing that faith at home. It is the primary place that most kids learn about the faith because even though they're having religion or weekly mass at school, or maybe you go to mass on the weekends, that's really just 1 hour or, a couple hours out of the week that they're spending dedicated to the faith. So it's so important to start that at home and build that at home. Start teaching the virtues and prayers in your family. That is the domestic church. And then when you bring your domestic family to the church and it really builds on all these other families, that's where we have this community and all these parents that are at home putting in the work, teaching their kids the virtues, teaching their kids about charity. It's really so important to our school community and to our parish family.
Yeah. So for some families who may be wondering how to incorporate this more at home, incorporate their faith in teaching their kids at home, what are some ways for families to grow as a domestic church and teaching them the virtues, the prayers? Do you have any suggestions for that?
I have found specifically at my house that having tangible things around is very helpful, especially for young kids. Like when Maddie was younger, we'd have different board books or different things to play with that were specifically maybe about the Mass or different saints. Now, as she's gotten a little older, we have rosaries around, and I found a set of rosary prayer cards. So last year, we really focused on praying through the rosary. And I think it was really helpful to have the cards that she was able to read the prayers, and I helped her read some, just talking about the rosary and being able to hold it. And we spent last year, when she was learning how to read, we were able to spend every night before bed like 10, 15 minutes praying a decade of the rosary. And you could really see how much she enjoyed that. And she thought it was so special that she got to hold the rosary and she was praying through it. And she even told me how much she liked it. And I thought that that was so awesome. And I think that sometimes our faith can seem a little intimidating and we can feel like we're not doing enough. But it's just even those simple things like a prayer before bed or having the rosary around or purchasing some, prayer cards or rosary card. We also have different prayer books, Bibles around. I think just having those around, seeing that they're tangible, picking them up sometimes. Kids are always especially watching what you're doing as a parent. If you sit down and your kid sees you praying the rosary, reading through a prayer book, reading the Bible, focusing on the saint is, the patron saint is of the day, or the virtues of the month through school, reiterating that at home is such a approachable way for parents to have faith more present at home. And I know that the rosary and the rosary cards and the prayer cards have really made a big difference for Maddie and for us at home.
Yeah, I think the rosary is a great tool to have, especially with kids, having something, like you said, tangible, something present, a little bit more physical and easier for the kids and younger people to grasp. I think a lot of times we are just told to pray in our heads and keep everything silent. And our relationship with the Lord is often between us and the Lord. And there's nothing tangible there, but having the Bible, having the rosary, having something tangible to help grasp the faith and our relationship a little bit more as we get older, I think it is so important and so valuable to have with our younger kids.
Yeah. And I saw online, so we'll maybe assume it's true, but that St. John Paul's favorite prayer was the rosary. So I love little moments like that, even to connect to Maddie. That really is meaningful to her anytime I can make a connection to real life. So sometimes it's not tangible, but it's like, oh, we are in the St. John Paul II parish family. This was the rosary was his favorite prayer. And she's like, oh, wow. Because she's really interested in learning about different saints and the popes and stuff like that. So anytime I'm able to be like, oh, the Pope prayed this or something, she's like, yes, I think for some reason that seems relatable to her, even though she's never met the Pope and stuff like that. But even little connections like that is really meaningful within your family and your kids and community.
Humanizing the saints and bringing the saints into your family is great. I love that. I definitely wanna do some more reading upon the saints, upon St. John Paul II and so many others, because they are great people and great role models for us, and finding out little things like their favorite prayer, what they like to do. St. Carlo Acutis was just
Yes.
canonized, and he liked playing video games. Relating things like that to kids and making them more real people instead of people on a pedestal.
Yes.
Uh, that's really neat. So let's go into Catholic Schools Week. What makes Catholic Schools Week so special here at Bishop Leibold School?
I think that the way our students and our community together, we look forward to the week and the way we celebrate the week really is so unique. Celebrating Catholic education is so unique, anyways, because we're able to focus on faith, academics, and service, community. We're able to really have a full circle experience because we are here at Catholic school, and it really helps build up foundation for our students, which is why we're here. At Bishop Leibold, we have a lot of new traditions in incorporating, and we have some very long traditions that we do throughout the week for Catholic Schools Week. Usually each day we have a different theme that we follow, and we're able to incorporate different celebrations for our community members or for our students or both each day. We usually start the week off on Sunday, inviting all of our students and our parish families to come together for a mass that leads into an open house. We're able to showcase different artwork in different classrooms and STEM projects, or faith station and a prayer station. It's really just a fun way for families to come together, explore the school, and just get excited about the week. One of the long-standing traditions for Catholic School Week, and we've been doing it for over 25 years, is called Mini Sessions. And this is a day where we have parents, volunteers, teachers, and staff, community members come into our school and they kind of showcase maybe it's their God given talents or treasures or passions and hobbies. And we have different stations that they all set up for the students. In past years, we've had paper airplane station. We've had a friendship bracelet station, scarf making station. The Boy Scouts come in and they run a derby car racing station, obstacle course, making really just a wide variety of different activities. So cool to see different parents and members come forward and be like, oh, we'd love to do this for the kids. And it really is just a fun way to celebrate the students and our Catholic community. But one of my favorite things that's a newer addition to Catholic Schools Week is one day focus on celebrating vocations. And last year we had different parish leadership members, parish and some of our clergy visit our school campus classrooms. Earlier in the week, tasked each homeroom classroom with coming up with a saint they were able to kind of learn, study about, learn different facts about the saints. And then we had the parish staff and the clergy come into the homerooms and play a little saint sing game. The kids got really into it, even the older kids, like everybody thought it was so fun to kind of go through it. Especially the kids that were able to stump. I think there was one or two classes that stumped like the clergy or the parish staff member and they were so pumped about that they were literally stopped. They were like, "They didn't guess saint," and I was like, "No way." So, it was just such a fun way for everyone to kinda come together and, um, celebrate that. I think and even one class that I think Jen visited, they happened to pick her patron saint, and she was like, "They almost got me," and then at the very end, she was like, "Oh, I think the patron saint." So I thought that was fun. That it was like a little Holy Spirit moment that like how what a connection that class that she got sent into that classroom and they had picked her patron saint. So This was one of my favorite newer traditions that we did last year that we're continuing this year. And then on the last day, we incorporated a pep rally. Usually, that theme day is celebrating our staff and students and community. And we have an awesome student band, cheerleaders that come out, the staff and students play games. It was really just an electric environment. Like we started it off with a prayer, and this was truly celebrating all of our students in such a fun and lighthearted way. We invited our parents to come in for it too. So it kind of really had an old school community feel to bring back a pep rally that we're going to continue to do this year.
That's awesome. I love how many things are going on, especially during this week at Bishop Leibold School. If you are interested in checking out any of these activities, Bishop Leibold School has their Facebook and Instagram page that you can check out and keep tabs on all of the activities that are going on this week and throughout the year at Bishop Leibold School. So I highly recommend you check those pages out. I actually want to note that I was one of the staff members who entered into one of these classrooms and was stumped.
Who was the saint?
I honestly don't remember. It was a year ago. Um,
So
but
you're good studying for this year then.
yeah, yeah, it was. I was surprised on by how much these, I think, third or fourth graders knew about this particular saint. They didn't know anything,
Yeah.
but it was fun. It was good. It was fun to go into the classrooms and meet the kids and have them stump me, and they loved that.
Yeah, what's interesting about Catholic Schools Week and something like this exercise that we did, we have so many fun activities that the students do that week and different spirit days that they are able to participate in. And it's interesting to see the students that are like, "Oh, I loved when they came in and we played the Saint guessing game," like something that seemed so simple, but it was like such a connection for them that some of them enjoyed that more than the pep rally or more than mini sessions or more than dressing up in their favorite jersey. And so I think it's fun to see that connection and just shows like how deeply rooted so many of our students are in the faith and how excited they get about little moments like that.
There's something for everybody there.
Yes.
With it being Catholic Schools Week, it reminds us how parents, teachers, and the parish work together. How do you see the PTO supporting families in living out the domestic church while partnering with the school?
The PTO can really play a powerful role in supporting families and helping them live out the domestic church. Going back to the idea that the home is the first place where your faith is taught and lived out, we're kind of able to help strengthen that with a partnership between these families and our Catholic school by offering, a lot of opportunities for different service within our community or our classrooms, and also this is the opportunity for community. So a lot of things the PTO focuses on is having community type events, and whether that's different dances or student events. And it's just an opportunity for families to come out and be around each other, kind of in our environment. A lot of these events we have on campus at the St. Henry Pack, or we have it at our school. And so it's a fun opportunity to kind of come together, and it starts to build up those relationships with other people, which in turn makes the families more engaged, which makes them want to come into school and volunteer or come to our events. Or when we have service projects that are parish or school led, you're more likely to be interested in engaging in those because of the environment of the community that PTO is helping support. One thing that comes to mind that PTO does also is we help our classrooms host Christmas and Shrove Tuesday parties for our student classrooms. And we usually have parent volunteers come in and they work through planning the party. And we always try to make it faith-based and faith-centered, at least one or two of the activities. Obviously, the kids are also excited about Christmas, but we also try to incorporate, for example, Maddie's class one year, we played Christmas bingo, and we used like an Advent season bingo, and we were able to teach them about different, the stable and Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus. So it was like at a very um, low level, for 5-year-olds, we were kind of able to incorporate a fun Christmas bingo game into this classroom party. And you can see, we had like 5, 6 parents in the room volunteering, and you can really see that communities start to build even with simple things like the classroom parties. And also, PTO is continually communicating with the community and having meetings and just opening our meetings with prayer, opening our events with prayer, having the clergy present. We'll have Father Fox come sometimes, or Father Chris has come to events. And I think that's a great way to continue to connect families with the school and with the church. And just it's all kind of like co building a stronger faith in our community and building a stronger community.
I love that. I love the involvement of parish staff, of the clergy involved with PTO events and with the kids and all of the events that you guys plan. I'm sure the kids love that and love the memories that are associated with that. And the desire to come back and volunteer and all of that. That's really powerful. Um, so what's one way for parents and parishioners to strengthen the link between home, school, and the parish?
One thing that easily comes to mind to me for strengthening that relationship and kind of building that co-relationship, can we call it, is attending mass together. And especially if you have a student already at Bishop Leibold, all of our students attend Massly weekly at either St. Henry or Our Lady of Good Hope. And I think being able to make yourself available, even for if it's one mass a month, to go to one of those children's masses is so special. I try to go weekly, at least one of them. And it just really it's so meaningful to get to hear our kids actively sing and participate and like fill the church. We have a lot of opportunities for the students to be in choir or be readers. They're able to bring up the gifts and do petitions. And so you get to see the kids taking an active role in our parish and at the mass, and they get so excited. And our older students get to attend adoration and reconciliation, which is another meaningful way to strengthen their relationship with the church. And so I think having the opportunity for to show up, even if you can commit to one during the school year, I think it's so meaningful for the kids to see their parents at church. Even if they're not practicing the Catholic faith, you can still are welcome to come to mass. And so I think that's one of the easiest ways, I think, that if you can give 1 hour a month or a year to straighten, and that'll really strengthen that homeschool parish bond, and you're able to talk to your kids about the mass, and you're able to talk to them about the, "Oh, I heard you read the petition," or, "Tell me, how did you feel when you were carrying up the gifts? What was that like for you?" And that really continues to grow that bond between the home and the school and the parish.
That's so special. I've gone to some school masses and I love how into the mass the kids get when singing the songs, and the kids who go up to read the petitions or to lecture or read the scripture readings for mass. They get so excited and I love seeing their faces and how excited and how joyful they are to participate in this special mass. It's great, and I know the kids are looking for the parents in the mass or
Oh, yes.
just when they're doing that. So, yeah, that's so special. I love that.
Yeah, another way that you're able to strengthen that link is if you are participating in the sacraments, and getting your students involved in participating in the sacraments. For Maddie this year, she is completing First Reconciliation and First Communion. So I can really already tell such a big difference this year being in second grade and going through these sacraments and the prep that they do at school and kind of bringing that home. And she's talking about it. We were able to the First Reconciliation Retreat, which was a mix of like BLS students and families from our parish that are in PSR. And it was so awesome to be in that mix of the communities together and all the kids together. And it was such a special evening. When we went over to the church with the passing of the baptismal candle, it was really a moving experience for like the kids and the parents and our community. And I think that really helps build, again, going back to that foundation for our kids' faith and connecting the school curriculum to living out the faith and life. Maddie's asking all these amazing questions about baptism and reconciliation, and you could just see things reconnecting. It's almost like you can see the bricks of the foundation, being built in her little mind, and it's super fun to see that. And kind of this is Maddie's 5th year at Bishop Leibold, so it's fun to see her really connecting the faith with school and home and getting used to being like, "Yes, Sunday's Mass day," and, "Oh, soon I'm gonna be doing my first communion and receiving the body of Christ." I think that that's another great way if you're practicing the faith and you're able to go through sacrament prep and have your students participate in sacraments, that is, I think, one of the best ways besides going to church and praying at home that you can strengthen that link between home, school, and parish.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Preparing for this huge, this special moment in one's life, receiving the Eucharist and whatever sacrament you may be going through, your child may be going through. It's really special to have someone in your life, whether it's your parent or loved one, involved in that process and preparing for that sacrament. So, Jenny, how can a parent or someone get involved in PTO?
Yeah, so we have um, events and different things that we do inside and outside of school hours. All throughout the year, we kind of rotate through different events. And a great way to get involved is to volunteer at some of these events. Obviously, coming to them is great too, but if you want to take it a step further and volunteer, we have a lot of opportunities for that. You can reach out to the school offices, they can reach out to our teachers. Basically, anyone at the school or parish should be able to connect them with me. And I usually have a running lineup of different events and opportunities that we have for volunteering, whether it be um, for a specific PTO event or for a school or a parish event.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jenny, for giving us some insight on how every home can be a place where Christ is present. The PTO plays such a valuable role in bringing families and the school together, supporting the mission of Catholic education. As Pope St. John Paul II said, as the family goes, so goes the nation, and so goes the whole world in which we live. May we strengthen our homes as true domestic churches so that Christ may be known in our children, our schools, and our world. Until next time, God bless.